Welcome back to the Jason Flood Digital Marketing Show. Today I'm joined by Matt Pagourgis, writer, producer and co-founder of American Pulps. Matt has worked across major TV and digital platforms, including Kocktails with Khloé, yes, Khloé Kardashian, Zombie House Flipping and The Next Big Thing. We're going to be talking about his creative journey, the rise of American Pulps, and the reality of working behind the scenes in Hollywood. And make sure to stay right to the end of this podcast. I share the story of how Matt and I first met in a cafe on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. Let's get started. Matt, I'm very happy to have you on. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, man.
It's amazing to have you on because we're going to be diving into not only what you've been able to achieve and your story, your incredible career across television and digital storytelling, and now what you're doing with American Pulps. But we're also going to be able to talk about my story with you. I've actually met Matt before. Matt is based in America. We're going to be talking a lot about that. But in his time when he was based in California, I met Matt, I believe, on LinkedIn.
I think it was LinkedIn. Yeah.
And we did a coffee, which it's a terrible story for me, really, but it really reveals the kind of person Matt is. One of the nicest people I've ever met, especially from a business perspective, because I think, Matt, you would agree, LA, it's a snake pit.
It is. There's a lot of charlatans and just phony people. But yeah, that coffee meeting was memorable. I think I will never forget getting a coffee. I think the people there will remember our coffee meeting. The baristas or whatever were in the back.
Oh God, the lady with the apple juice.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh Jesus, that was the first thing I saw when I opened my eyes. Oh my God, because me and Matt were catching up before this podcast, and we were touching briefly on these things. But genuinely, you're just after touching on a memory there with her. Oh look, we leave that for the end of the podcast because people are gonna find that very, very interesting. But Matt, I just really want to get into it with you. You're going to be talking about your background and stuff. As I said, you built an incredible career across television and digital storytelling, from zombie house flipping to Cocktails with Khloé. Yes, Cocktails with Khloé Kardashian. How did you first get started in the entertainment industry, and really what moments have shaped your approach as a digital producer?
Well, I mean, I feel like moments that shaped it. I feel like every job that I've taken, I've been freelance for 14, 15 years now, and every job I've taken, I'll learn something from it. Sometimes it's don't work with that person again, but sometimes but a lot of times. The first jobs that I had were, I never went to film school. I didn't. I went to business school. I learned marketing, and I got a job. I mean, I don't know how it was in Ireland, but in 2008 we had the financial crisis here, right. And I graduated in 2009, and it was really hard to get a job, pretty much like it is right now for a lot of kids, and. So I got a job. I mean, just to getting into the industry. I got a job I was living in Massachusetts, and I worked for a fire safety company. And people would call up. I was in a call center. They call up when their fire system wasn't working. So I had a lot of angry people calling me. And I would say, all right, well, thank you for your call. It looks like we could get a technician out in about 2 weeks. And then they'd be like, 2 weeks? What is this? This is a fire alarm system, not washing machines. We need this fixed now. And then, so I would get yelled at. And then I got promoted. And I would.
You're doing a good job, so.
I got promoted to scheduling actually really handling the technicians. So I would get off the phone with the customer, get just brutally assaulted in my ear by a customer. And then I'd call the tech, and I mean, we worked with commercial buildings, so I would say, "Hey, Justin, it's I just got off the phone with Concord Correctional, the jail. I'm gonna have to send you over there now, and like, how's that sound?" And then I just get it from Justin, like, "Oh, that's a terrible idea. I gotta do this. And so I would get yelled at by a customer, then I would get yelled at by the tech, and I did that for 2 years. And I was like, I'm over this. And I talked to my cousin who was working in the industry, and I lived with him in Boston when we were in college. And he's like, "Come on out to LA. It'll be just like living in Boston. Los Angeles is nothing like Boston." But I did. I talked to his dad, my uncle, who is a producer, and I'm basically I'm a product of nepotism. He told me.
A Nepo baby.
He said he was like, "I'm sorry, a nepo baby." Yeah,
a nepo baby, is it?
yeah. I'm a bit of a nepo baby. Yeah. So I talked to my uncle. He's like, "I can get you a job as a PA, a production assistant, but you got to be out here. You can't be in Massachusetts. You got to be in LA, because a lot of those jobs are that day." So okay. So I just packed my stuff and drove cross country. And like everybody I talked to, I was like, "I don't know. This could be 2 weeks or 2 years. I don't know. I'm no longer getting yelled at on the phone." So I went out to LA, and true to his word, he got me a job probably within a week as a production assistant. And my first job was for an MTV show. And it was a great way to learn the city, because the show was a reality show for MTV. The girls had their own cameras. It was called Connected or something like that, and they had their own cameras. They were filming themselves, and I would go to their apartments, get their cards with the media on it, and give them fresh cards. So I would go out there, get the cards, and bring them back, and we'd ingest them and edit them. And so I was driving all over the city to where these girls lived. And then sometimes they would send me out to film them, just to make the connective tissue in post. Like, if they're driving, we need shots of them driving. They can't film themselves driving. So I would be, riding shotgun, filming them, getting, their hands on the steering wheel, eyes in the
B-roll shots.
Eyes in the rear view. Like I was getting very artsy fartsy with it. And through that job, I got a job at the Pet Collective, which was my first job in YouTube, and that was straight up film school. I worked with a lot of everybody was basically like me. They were young, hungry. Most of them knew what they were doing, though. I didn't, and I was just fake it till you make it. So I was with the Pet Collective, we did a lot of parodies and stuff like that, and that's actually where I met my wife. That's where I met my business partner for American Pulps, John, and a lot of other people that I worked with. There was one guy. He's like, "Do you want to AD, assistant direct a YouTube show that I'm doing?" And I was like, "Yes." And then I Googled, "What is an AD?" And I would,
no ChatGPT then, folks. There's no ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And then I did the same thing with I worked on commercials and stuff like that as a camera assistant. I did a news piece for Russian TV with a guy, and with this boxer. He's like, "You like boxing? I'm going to be interviewing a boxer." I was like, "Cool." So I just went with him to Oxnard, way up north, and we filmed this kid hitting the bags in the gym, and then we did this interview. We had like a Russian translator. I'd ask the question, and then he'd answer it in Russian, and then I'd look at the camera op and like. And then the translator was like, "Oh yes, no, he said this, and this." We're like, "Okay, cool. I guess we answered that question."
Like a homie did.
yeah, exactly. No idea. But like you were talking about before we got on your experiences in LA. And I'm just thinking back to when I first started, and when I worked at the Connected show. One of the guys was like, my first. He was editing like Thai weddings, and he didn't speak the language. So he would just edit these weddings based on what people were doing. It was like editing a,
Put
you could have the
structure
sound
that.
off.
If you don't know what's
Yeah,
happening, you're just kind of going with the flow, aren't you?
yeah. So like, there's so many people with stories like that where they're just kind of figuring it out as they go. So and then from the Pet Collective, I went on to BuzzFeed. From BuzzFeed, I went on to I got my first reality TV jobs, and then I just got in with a production company. My first reality TV job was with Pilgrim Studios, which is now well, they turned to Pilgrim Media Group, and then they became Alternate Reality TV, or what they got bought by Lionsgate. But anyway, I worked with Pilgrim off and on for the last like 12 years, and I did Zombie with them, and Cocktails with Khloé with them. So a lot of my work has been through Pilgrim, but I've also worked with other production companies um, uh, in between, basically.
And that was really your education, because you were just bringing up a point there that you weren't in film school, but even me as a digital marketer, um, like I have a master's degree from Dublin Business School, but I would have learned more in probably 6 months from running my business than I would have ever learned from college. So I do
Yep.
believe to a degree that it really, in a way, is a piece of paper. Like, it's impressive that you have it and stuff like that, but it's it in terms of practical. Like, you are so experienced now, you didn't need to do film school in order to achieve what you've achieved.
Yes, yeah. I think especially film school. Like I think like business school is really good for networking.
Yeah,
You get to know people. It's great for that. Another big thing is with school, you can do these things and mess up and not worry about losing your job.
that's a good point.
it's
There's a
it's a
margin of error.
sandbox. Yeah, it's a sandbox, and that's kind of what we decided with American Pulps. Like it's a little bit our sandbox, American Pulps, where and I can get into the start of that, but basically on the sandbox part, our social media, like I'll do videos that I know I take chances, and it's basically I'll do a video on something, and if it bombs, it bombs. It's just, this is our sandbox. This is where what we use to tell stories. This is what we use to build our audience, and we test out our story. It's kind of like Woody Allen when he first started out. He people told him he had to do stand up. He was a terrible stand up comedian, but that's kind of how he found his voice, and that's developed into the filmmaker that he became by just going up on stage and getting feedback from the crowd. So that's kind of how we treat American Pulps. It's very much seeing what sticks and seeing what resonates with the audience.
And I love that, because like I was a YouTuber on and off. Like, that's how because I can offer weird packages. Like, I can do graphic design. I'm like you. I consider you a jack of all trades, because you have
Yeah.
so much experience. There's literally so much you can do. So you can't be boxed into one thing. So even though I run a digital marketing business, I also do graphic design. I do podcasts. I do video editing. There's so much I can do. And I remember YouTube around that period for me was trial and error. I probably had about 4 different rebrands, just trying to figure out what what actually worked. I remember, like, it was impossible to even get collaborators. I remember I was literally called Pariah. That was literally the name of my channel, Pariah. And
Yeah.
it met the brand. But I remember posting one video. I was like, right, so obviously what I'm doing isn't attracting a large audience. So maybe if I piggyback off what's trending right now in the world and do reaction videos of that. And looking back then now, what I should have done is like an Irish guy reacts to, or something like that.
Yeah.
It would have
Yeah.
had kind of, it would, I just, how to market it better. And I remember it was a random video. I don't even know where it was from, but it was trending on YouTube. So I was like, right, I'm gonna do this. And I remember in the video, the music was terrible. That's the first thing. Well, at least in my opinion, it was very. And I like all kinds of music, but I thought this was really bad, to be honest. It was real influencer like music,
Okay.
and they had, you
Elevator
know,
music.
chains and mullets, and it was mental. The video was mental, and I remember I was honestly reacting to it. And I remember I got one comment, and someone's like, "I hope you really do really well with your channel, dot dot dot, but you are just so unlikable." I was like, Jesus Christ! I was like, where's the constructive criticism in that? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, really unlikable. I was like, oh my god, it might be time to change fields altogether.
Oh man, yeah.
I was
Comments. The comment section can be awful. It can be really
terrible,
bad.
but it's your
Yeah.
sandbox. It's like what you said. You have to try different things, and like I tried so many different forms of content and stuff, and it was actually around the time me and you met. I got into digital marketing, because I started doing these different types of videos, and some would do really well, and some wouldn't. And I started asking myself, why are these ones doing so well as compared to ones that aren't, when the ones that aren't doing well are much better in terms of quality and stuff. And that's how I get into it. So I really enjoy what you were saying there about American Pulps being your sandbox. So let's talk more about American Pulps. Tell our viewers who
Yeah.
might not know what American Pulps is. And guys, I just want to say the social media links to American Pulps will be in the description below. So Matt, tell me more about it.
Well, yeah, it started. I was talking about John, my writing partner. We worked at the Pet Collective together, and then he went off and did reality TV. I went off and worked on BuzzFeed, and we stayed in touch because we worked really well together, and we're legitimate friends. Like it's weird, in working in television. You work on a show, you develop friendships, and then sometimes you stay in touch, and then sometimes you just never see those people again. It's this weird revolving door. So we stayed in touch, and I actually it started. I showed up early. I was 2 weeks early for a party. Was how it started. He had a Memorial Day party, which is kind of the kickoff of summer in America, and he was having a barbecue, but it wasn't going to be on Memorial Day. It was going to be the week after, and in a moment of dyslexia, I read it as a week before. So I showed up 2 weeks before the party with a 6-pack in my hand, and I was just like,
Oh, no way.
and he's like, I'm really happy to see you, but you're 2 weeks early for the
Oh,
party.
no way. That's terrible.
And but he was, they weren't doing anything, so we hung out, and we got into the 6-pack, and we were just talking, and it developed. Like we from that conversation that we had, we were talking about books that we were reading. We were both reading pulp fiction books at the same time. Just we didn't know it. I was reading a Donald Westlake book, who's one of my favorite authors, and he was reading a Jim Thompson book, and we were discussing what we wanted to work on, what we wanted to do, why we moved out to LA, and it was a lot of the same stuff. So we came up with our first script was Blood Scout, which is a vigilante Boy Scout. Yeah, you're dead.
Vigilante Boy Scout, what?
Yeah. You're dead.
That's
Scout's
really
honor.
funny.
It was like a slasher horror movie. No one bought it. We also did Cannibal Cops, and we were trying to sell that. And after a while, we're like, no one's. It's what is the lowest barrier to entry for us as storytellers, and we landed on writing short stories and making a punk rock style zine. And so we wanted to write just short stories and have a physical copy that we could hand out. Like, this is what we want to make, and it's not something that, instead of making a full-on movie and maxing out our credit cards and having that as a proof of concept, we have this zine that we printed at FedEx, and we can hand out, and we called it Shit Show Pulps. That's how it started.
I love it.
Yeah, and it was we were punk rock pulp, and they had LA Zine Fest, because there's zine culture in LA, and we were like, okay, LA Zine Fest, we need to have our first zine ready for LA Zine Fest. And so we did that. We made it. We each wrote like 2 short stories. We did the artwork, and then we went to Kinko's, and it came out all messed up, and we were just like, whatever, punk rock. And we just made it. We went to LA Zine Fest. We were handing out our zine and stuff like that. And that's kind of how we got our start. And from there, we developed a pretty good audience. We made our website. It was like shitshowpulps.com, and we put our short stories on there. Oh yeah, it's great. The only problem with Shit Show, and I loved the logo. It was it had an exclamation point in it, so the I in shit was the top of the exclamation point, and the O in show was the bottom part, and it had bullet holes, and it was great. It was an awesome logo. I probably have it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
But we realized when we were like, oh, we can't advertise on Facebook. Shit Show Pulps.
Oh, the name and the domain. How did you even get the domain?
Oh, well, the domain is like you can get the domain, like you could just buy it, but you can't use it for. And you could use Shit Show on Facebook and Instagram, and I don't even know if I don't think TikTok was a thing then. No. But you can't advertise. We couldn't advertise. So we were like, we gotta, if we want, and like before this call, before we started recording, I asked if I can say shit on this podcast. It's another reason. It's another reason we wanted to change our name, because we wanted to be something that we could say in polite society. Yeah. So around 2016 now, we were like, when they made Universal Pictures, they wanted something big. That's why they said Universal, because it's like, that's why they landed on that name. So we wanted something big, and we landed on American Pulps. So we got that, and we've been American Pulps ever since. And through American Pulps, we've done short films, animated films. We've pitched a Lifetime movie. We pitched a couple other movies, and we one of the movies that we pitched, we were really happy with it. And looking back, we probably should have done something that was a little cheaper to make. Like, we're 2 no names, and we go into these production houses and these studios, and we're pitching something. They don't know us at all, and we pitched this outlandish story that is it takes place in the 1950s, so it's a period piece right there. That's a lot of money. Period piece in New York and Los Angeles, 2 locations. Oh, wow,
2 different locations.
Lots of money. It like culminates on a mountaintop in the Andes. Hitler's still alive, and he's roided up and fighting this guy. And so they were, and it was also like, at this time, there was like political issues with Nazis. We were pitching it, and they were like, they told us, they were like, so Nazis are bad, right? And we're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I had to preface that.
Sounds like a rom-com.
Yeah. So we they said no. It was like this. It would have been an astronomical cost on 2 no names. So they said no, and we were like, okay, let's just self-publish it. So we self-published it. It was called Under the Knife, and
I love the name Under the Knife.
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah. So, and then we took the first. Basically, we took what a lot of people said, and again, the sandbox element. We self-published it. We got feedback after we had already published it, instead of getting feedback before, like we should have. And people were like, yeah, this is basically 2 books in one, and we're like, that's a good note. So we actually took it, and we took the first half of that book, and it is now in development as a novel. We already have the script, and it's called Misfigured. And we're going to start shopping that one around. Yeah. So we have a couple, we have like 3 scripts that we're basically what we do is we'll write the script together, and then we'll novelize it. We'll take the bones from that and turn it into a novel. And we're in the middle of doing that with 3 scripts that we have right now. Yeah. So hopefully next time I'm on this podcast, I'll be talking about something that we sold.
Oh,
um,
100%. And it's the grind,
yeah.
isn't it? It's all about,
Yeah.
um,
Exactly.
like, I always say this to people: anyone who's come through California changes in
Yes.
some way, shape, or form, whether it's for the better or for the worse. Like, so obviously, all the years of experience you would have built, as I said, with your career, and you went over everything you've achieved and all the places you went. It's obviously molded you into having this work ethic. LA made me a chain smoker. that's, that's as far as the transformation goes, and the Quad Express. But look, as I said, me and Matt were talking before the call that everyone has an arc. So you have a point where things are so bad, and then they're literally, it's not at the bottom of the barrel; it's beneath the bloody barrel.
Yes.
So you literally build yourself back up. And I just love the story, and I love there's things I wouldn't have known. The processes about what you do, I know what you do, but the processes, and that's little things like in terms of right the setting, right. So you're shooting this in, like say New York, and you're shooting this in LA. That's straight away two different locations. So
Yeah.
that's straight away the costs, and these are the things people don't see. You could have an amazing story, and this is what I always say to people when it comes to digital marketing campaigns, because a lot of people get in touch with me who I might not be working with in real time, but they just want advice. And I'm always
Yeah.
like, you can always have a great idea on paper, but it's no good if it's not executed correctly. So
Exactly.
budget
Exactly.
is really like a massive obstacle for you, because you really need investment to make it
Yes.
what you want to make.
And that's the reason we've taken those scripts. So we have one of our things with American Pulps is we seem to have very big ideas, and those are very expensive ideas to make. So we in one thing that I do like that we've been doing recently is we put ourselves in a box and we say, okay, we need, I'm trying to do maybe a single location thriller. That's ideal, but also tough. So I mean, if we could do 2, 3 locations, minimal cast, less than 5 people, that's something that somebody can make for under $1 million, and in Hollywood standards, that's pretty cheap, and so that's kind of what we're trying to do with our new stories. So we took Under the Knife, which had all these locations, and it's basically a 2 location thriller now, and it's these are locations that we think, from a production standpoint, we can film them anywhere. We could film it in Ireland, we could film it in Indiana, which is where I've written that it takes place in the novel, but I mean it really could be anywhere, and we so that's one thing. You were talking about the arc, the person's arc, and that's
Yeah.
basically LA. It sounds like was your what they call in the script is the dark night of the soul, which is
Yeah,
just
yeah. It's a bit
where
of a
it's
story about me.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you have a hero's journey. It's a hero's journey, and the dark night of the soul is the moment like after the false victory, which is at the midpoint of the movie. You have the dark night of the soul. It's when all the shit, all the terrible stuff happens, and the bad guys are closing in, and all seems lost. But then right after that, you rise up into Act 3, and the magic flight to Act 3, and you have the ending, the
Act
happy
25.
ending.
I think it's Act 25. But before, there would have been a lot of volumes in Irish pulp.
It's Game of
If there was
Thrones.
an
It's
Irish pulp series based on me, there would have been a lot of volumes put that way. Before things eventually, before things eventually took off. Like even little things, because like even this talking to you now from a creative perspective, obviously, I would have been a lot more creative in terms of well, it depends what way you look at it. I guess I think everyone who starts out as a content creator thinks of themselves as an artist,
Yes. Yeah.
when I guess art's subjective, so anyone can think what they're creating is art. I was not creating art. I was just trying. I was trying to get like anything off the ground, and the thing about LA is that we're talking about how the changes it makes to a person. Like, I was there for 4 months, and I hustled hard, and you're a hustler, and it's a real thing where you're just trying to make things happen. And you were talking about boxing there previously. I just unlocked a little memory there about I was in a cafe. It was in Hollywood. It was near the Walk of Fame. Because I remember that when I first came to Hollywood, and we're going to have the story at the end will explain the Walk of Fame. Actually, I believe this story in question happened on the Walk of Fame. Am I right? I think when I walked out of the shop, I won't spoil it anyway.
Oh, the coffee shop.
Yeah, it was on the
Yes.
Walk of Fame, I believe.
Well, the funny thing was when you because you were new to the city, and I was like, "Where do you live? I'll come to you." And you were like, "I live near Hollywood Boulevard," and
Which
I was
doesn't.
like, that goes the length of Hollywood. That's a big street. I'm gonna need a I'm gonna need a cross street to zero in on where in Hollywood Boulevard you
Doesn't
are.
explain anything at all. It's just like it's such a large area. Oh, like I remember there was like I did a lot of stuff near where we were, where we met that day. There was another coffee shop. It wasn't that one. I tell you, I never went back to that one after this experience. We'll talk about soon. But
I think they
I
might have closed. I think they have a plaque.
Oh,
Right.
they probably have me on the wall, all right, yeah. But I remember sitting in a coffee shop, and I was like, I mean, down in the dumps, because like I remember I had two job interviews. I had one in Racha Cucamonga. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly,
Yeah, Rancho Cucamonga. Yeah.
which is so far away from where I was that there would have been no hope of me being able to do it. But the company seemed interested. So in reality, I should have made that happen in some way, shape, or form. But I got another call from a business who was very close to where I was, maybe 20 minutes on a bus. So I remember going in and saying, right, I have to take this interview because, where the public transport end of it
Yeah.
makes complete sense. So I remember I actually didn't even have money to go to the interview. I had money to get there. I didn't have money to come home. That's what it was. And I remember I got there. I walked in. There was the owner. There was the woman who was like the I don't know what she'd even classify her as, because the interview was so bizarre. I guess she was recruiting for the position. And I
Okay.
walked over, and there was three people who were job applicants sitting at the table. So I was there like I thought this was a one-on-one conversation because she seemed so interested, and I explained everything from the legality end, because I was a I was on the J1 visa for a year, so there
Okay.
was a lot of rules I had to meet in order to get a job.
Yeah.
So, and realistically, I tell a company, even something as simple as I'd get to the end stages of it, and they'd be like, right, so it's 100% commission based or something like that, or there'd be some percentage, and I'm like, no, 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 I need to be getting minimum wage per hour. And they'd be like, yeah, but you're making more money this way. I'm like, it doesn't matter, it's the legality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
For
it
the
was it
visa.
was just a constant obstacle. And I remember going in, and basically the job interview was a scam. It was a
I've been in
complete
those.
and utter scam. And I
I've been in
remember
those.
there was a guy beside me who was probably in his mid to late 50s. And I remember just sitting there listening, and he just kept he just kept sighing. He was like a fire breathing dragon beside me. And I'm like, he's going to erupt. He is going to erupt. And I remember just cutting across her and saying, she explained something with the way they pay. And then I straight away knew I can't do this job. And we had spoke about this on the phone. Uh,
Yeah.
and I remember saying to her, I can't do this job. We talked about this. And she was like, oh no, I didn't say that. and I just said, look, and this is exactly what I said. I said, my mother always told me if I don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I just stood up and I walked out. And before I left, the guy who was heavy breathing got up and shook my hand.
That's awesome.
So I walked out of the office thinking like I was on top of the world. I felt like I had just, punk rock, like you were talking about,
Yeah, yeah.
I just, stood up to
You
them.
stuck it to him, and then you walked home because you didn't have money for the bus.
I thought I had money to get home, so I stood at the bus stop, and then it dawned on me, right, so now I've no job. The adrenaline I have no job. I'm going to chance this bus, which I probably won't get. The bus came. I hopped on to try get on it. She said no. I begged her. I said, please, I have no way home, please. She said no. So that was out of the question. And I remember I was at the curb and I threw a full-on nervous breakdown. It was a full-on nervous breakdown. I was kicking the curb. Imagine that visual of me kicking a curb. That's how crazy it got. And I walked home and it was horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous. But a few days later, I was in that coffee shop, not the one we were in, but the other one. I remember sitting down and I was just like, it was a mess. It was a mess. I should have came home after the first week. And I remember there was a guy who came up to me and he was talking to me and he just, he was talking to me about the problems I'm going through and stuff. And he seemed like a really nice guy. And then he was talking about boxing. And he was like, boxing, it's an escape for me and all this stuff. And he was an older guy. And I was just like in my head, where is he going with this? You know what I mean? Like, is he trying to sell me something? Or I was like, what is this, And he handed me his business card because I was telling him I'm looking for a job. And he left, and I looked at the business card, and I had a picture of Mike Tyson on it, and Evander Holyfield on it. And it had his details on it. And I'm like, is this guy trying to tell me he trained Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield on the business card?
Or did he go to the fight? I watched the fight.
I have his ear. I have the remains of Evander Holyfield's ear. I was like, what on earth was that? And I was like, I thought it was someone just feeling sorry for me. He was obviously trying to sell personal coaching to me. And I was like,
was it the Wild Card Boxing Gym? Did he work? Because that was in Hollywood, and that's where Manny Pacquiao used to work out, and Freddie Roach was the trainer. And
could be. I don't think it was. Like, I mean, I don't have enough knowledge of it to know the exact name. But when the business card did not look like,
I doubt it was. I doubt it was the Wild Card because Freddie Roach doesn't. He didn't need to go around advertising the Wild Card Gym. There's a pretty famous one, but
it could have been like $1 Million Baby. He could have taken me under his ring. I could have been working in a diner, and he could have taken me under his ring, and I could have become a boxer or something. That would have made for a great story. Maybe not the end of the $1 Million Baby. I wouldn't ask for that.
No.
If I win the championship and we just leave it there, that would have made
the stool out of the ring. Keep the stool out of the ring.
Yeah. But now I just want to talk a little bit. Final thing about American Pulps is that what's coming up? Is there any exciting announcements coming up? Is there anything you want to push, I guess?
Well, I mean, I basically alluded to what we're going to be pushing, which is we have a story, Misfigured, and then we have another story, Slow Kill, that are in development, in the script and novel sense, and then we have another detective story about it takes place in Los Angeles, and he's a homeless detective basically. But yeah, it's so those are the big ones that we're pushing right now that we're working on. It's tough, with between work and we both have families. Making time to write is it's hard to carve that time, but We're slugging through, and we're getting there. We have 2 complete scripts that we're already talking to people. It's funny with we had mentioned AI, and just the changes in the industry in the last few years. So many people in our Rolodex that we know are no longer in the industry. So it's like we're shopping it around, but we have limited people to talk to compared to 5 years ago.
Back in the day, of course.
Um, but and but I mean, I think that's basically where we're at, though. Like we have some solid people that we still that are still working that we can talk to, and there was one guy, speaking of punk rock, like we were in his office and he had like all these not just punk rock, but he had all these musicians up on the wall, like you see the Ramones and like Black Flag and stuff like that. Like, oh, okay, this is our people right here. I'd like to work with them. So hopefully, we can make that happen this time around when we have a cheaper script to sell.
Very cool. Like everyone, as I said, you can follow American Pulps in the description. I just want to say, before we get into this funny story that we've been building up to, I've been following. Me and Matt have been friends for years. We always kept in touch, and that's very rare when it comes to business, in my opinion, especially networking,
Yeah.
because, like, I don't know if you notice this, but sometimes you network with people and they have no interest in actually developing any type of connection. They're just like, what can I
Yes.
get out of this person? What can I get out of that person? I was at a conference a few months ago, and there was just someone saying, "What's your LinkedIn?" And
You know
me,
what? I
someone else
think
was
I,
like,
I think there's going to be more of that too. And there's something about person to person connection
"Yes, I
that
agree."
that sets people apart. Like if you can actually connect with people, I feel like especially now with social media, everybody's on their phones, and interaction is not face to face as much anymore, and business interaction isn't as face to face anymore. I mean, it's not even person to person, it's person to bot sometimes.
Completely changed. It's
Yeah.
complete.
And I think that personal connection stands out. If you want to stand out as in anything, I think person to person connection, whether it's B2C marketing, B2B marketing, it's really just person to person always. And I think that's something that stands out. And you do, when you're networking, when you're meeting people, you see the wheels turning. You see them looking around. I mean, this is another LA thing that you see a lot in parties. Like it's like, okay, I've interfaced with this. It's like almost like a robot. Like I've interfaced with this person. Now who else can I like glean from? And instead of making an actual connection, I'd rather make an honest connection with one person at a conference than meet and get 50 LinkedIn connections. You know what I mean?
That lead to
And sorry to cut
nothing.
you off there, but that's I
No, but
feel
they
like
lead
that's
to nothing. I agree, completely agree with
yeah.
what you say. And I like to kind of watch business podcasts, like, but on YouTube and stuff, where, like, say
Yes.
you might have like an influencer randomly interviewing a millionaire on the street or something. And I remember one tidbit. I always say, like, even with a book, if you can take one thing away from a book and take one thing away from a podcast, because there's information where you just listen to it and you take it in, but you don't apply it. And then there's transformational information, which actually
Yes.
transforms. You're applying it and it transforms whatever you're doing in life. And I remember one guy said, you need to know when you're on the field and you're off the field. And I remember when I first heard it, I was like, what? I don't quite understand what he meant. And I realize it more now, where if I run into you and I have like a minute to talk to you, I'm not going to start pitching a million things to you. I'm just going
Yes.
to be like, "Hi, Matt, how are you?" and talk to you. And
Yeah.
that's, you need to know when it's go time and when it's not go time. And I think people don't realize is that obviously there's times when you have to be pitching, of course, that goes with the territory, but there's also times where you need to be a human. like you're just
Yes.
so well put and just talk to the person, you know. Um, and I think that's kind of lost now. Where as we were talking, this podcast we really talked about hustling because
Yeah.
you've hustled and I've hustled to get to where we are and to build the brands we've built. But me and you have actually never worked together. So
No.
this is purely something built on a friendship from a story
Yeah.
from years ago. So this wouldn't have happened if we wouldn't have just spoken to each other like normal people. And of course, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have. It wouldn't have happened. What happened to me in your presence wouldn't have happened. So I find that really really interesting, and even the changes in AI, which is it's becoming more and more apparent now in my
Yes.
opinion, where you're starting to really see the effects of positions being replaced, probably
Yeah.
eventually eradicated. Where
I think with AI,
well,
I think with AI, there's I don't know. I was talking to John again about it, and it's like there's I don't know if you're familiar with AI slop, like the art slop
I'm
that
not no, so it's
So they call it AI slop, and it's like it's AI art that is it's on Instagram feeds. It's on and I guess American Pulps. We have a lot of artists who follow us, so we're very aware of AI slop, and I see that in my feed a lot. People calling stuff AI slop, and then they have a new term for AI in the workplace, and it's work slop, and it's basically it's half-assed work that people are just running through chat gpt and stuff, and it's not having that personal touch to it, and it's actually useless, and AI is costing a lot of businesses money, partly because I think AI can be beneficial to businesses, obviously,
100%.
but I do think it needs to, people are just using AI as a buzzword, and they're like, okay, well, it's got AI or it has to have AI. And they don't know what that means because they don't know what the capabilities are. And so they're just kind of throwing AI at it like as this thing that sticks. And there's certain stuff like that AI will help, but there's other things like AI art. There's always a need for that human element in art,
Of
I
course,
think.
I agree.
I heard on a podcast recently, and it was so true. This guy's like, basically, if you took AI in the 70s and you had it make AI music in the 70s, it would have just done a shitty version of Pink Floyd or a shitty version of Led Zeppelin, right?
The
It's not
bootleg
going to.
immigrant song.
Yes, yeah, it's just going to be okay, like something that's already been done, but not as good. And you won't have AI won't come up with the Pogues, the Clash. It won't come up with any, punk rock. Like we've been talking about punk rock. It won't come up with rap. AI would not have come up with the Wu-Tang Clan. That's like it would after the Wu-Tang Clan, it would give you a shitty version of the Wu-Tang Clan, but it would not have come up with the Wu-Tang Clan
100%.
because you need that personal touch, and that's something that AI can't bring. So I do think it's affecting the workplace right now, but I do think the dust is going to settle, and
Like
I
social
hope.
media, I guess.
Yes, yeah. I just hope that it settles anyway. I don't know for sure, but I am optimistic.
I think the way things will go. I'll just talk about from a digital marketing perspective. Obviously, I can't see into the future in the next 20 or 30
Yeah,
years if digital marketing, if it'll completely replace it. But the way I look at it now is that digital marketing will probably look very different in 20 or 30 years, if not sooner, where it might not even be called digital marketing. It'll be all
yeah,
digital marketers will need to be AI powered. So instead of contacting a digital marketer to set up social media and stuff like that, you'll be contacting someone to set it up, probably predominantly using AI. That's
yeah,
kind of where I think things are going to go in the short term over the next few years. Because as you said, so well put, it does have its benefits, but it's like the old Uncle Ben quote: "With great power comes great responsibility."
yes,
So you need to use it correctly. and a lot of people abuse it, and they don't think that it's obvious. Like a few things I see on social media, and I think you're talking about, like when you were saying about slop, the first
Yeah.
thing that came to my mind was people who use AI for social media designs.
Hmm.
So it's so clearly fake. It'll be like
Yeah.
me, create somebody sitting at their computer and have my logo and this text here, and it creates this bizarre looking animation like ridiculous thing, and it's just complete laziness because I know myself that I could just like I met a client this morning, Fiona Adwell. I'm designing her website with Yamaki Yoga. Fiona will be coming on the podcast too, and
Okay.
I could have just probably put say Fiona send me a picture and I'll put it into this AI and it'll make it look like we're sitting together, whereas we could just sit down together and take a picture and it'll
Yeah.
perform better than the AI picture would. And
Well, and
I'll
that's
say that with anybody. Organically, it'll perform better.
yes.
Real.
And I mean, if you look at movies, again, you look at movies, the computer generated stuff from the 90s looks fake as hell. Back then it was like, oh my god. I remember when I was a kid and like playing Tomb Raider, it's like, my god, it's
Oh,
so
I love Tomb
realistic.
Raider.
You know, like, what can you imagine what video games are going to be like 20 years from now? This is so realistic. It's like now it's all like it's just big blocky people like, come on. Um and like so it's like this stuff doesn't age well, but what does age well is stuff that's captured in camera, like you said. If you met up, I mean, if I flew out to Ireland, which I would love to do. I love I loved going out there when I was
100%.
yeah.
It'll be
Yeah,
better than our first time meeting.
yeah. But yeah, so if we were able to fly out, it would be better. Than me sending some shots that I took in New Jersey. But yeah, it's always better in camera. It's always better for the practical, like the real, the real stuff. But yeah, it's just it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know where it's going. Like you said, I don't have a crystal ball, but it's gonna. I don't know. I hope it goes the way of the NFT, which means it's not as cool in a few years, because NFTs were here and then
They're
the
gone.
bubble burst.
Have you seen Sorrow AI? I think it's called Sorrow. Have you seen that Sorrow app?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy for deep fakes and stuff like that. I
Craziest
mean,
thing I have ever seen. I was on Twitter and they had Martin Luther King as the WWE champion.
yeah,
He was
yeah, they
in the
have
ring.
wild stuff. Yeah, no, they have. I saw JD Vance doing like skateboarding tricks and falling and stuff. It
It's
was a
just
design
crazy,
podcast.
and it looks so real. They had
Yeah.
Martin Luther King there. He's holding the championship, the WWE championship, and he's talking about how he's a bad guy. So he's like, "I had a dream." It's unbelievable, and it
Yeah.
sounds like a wrestling speech. Like it sounds like a
Yes. Yeah.
wrestling
Yeah.
promo. And he's like, "But I'm now everybody's nightmare," and the crowd is booing. And then they have the commentators like, "Oh my God, he did not just say that." And then he said something like, "The only rights I'm going to give you is with my with my hands" or something. I was just like, "What kind of line
Now
that?"
that's funny, and that's an example of like you have to, because people just lazily like, oh, here, kittens boxing, and they'll have kittens boxing, and that's not going to resonate as much as
Oh,
somebody
outrageous.
had to give the program, something that was like what he's saying. They had to. It's not just going to spit out
Yeah.
Martin Martin Luther King with
Ridiculous.
a. Yeah, and I've given AI, like, oh, write a song, like just testing it out and stuff like that, seeing what it's capable of. It's a good resource as a writer, as an extra set of eyes for me.
Yeah.
I'll give it
It's
something that I
assistant.
wrote, and it's good. It's like a writer's assistant,
Yeah,
and
that's the way I use
it
it
just
too.
yeah, and but you have to use it as a writer's assistant. You, at the end of the day, you're the writer. You
Exactly.
know?
That's it. Exactly. If anyone takes away anything from this podcast when it comes to AI, Matt just put it so well that it's an assistant. It should support what you're doing. You shouldn't be relying on it solely. And
Yeah.
I couldn't have put it better myself. And I actually, I do use AI, of course I do. I have multiple
Yeah.
systems I use to help automate things I'm doing, to help speed up my internal processes, because you have to, you'll get lost in
Oh
the
yeah.
shuffle. It's
It's a force
far
multiplier.
exciting
It's
now.
only, yeah.
But I used the music app before when I've already talked to Matt about this, like the intro of this podcast. It's very MF Doom. You liked the song, you were telling me. You
Yeah.
actually
I thought
liked
it
it.
was great. Yeah, I liked it.
It reminds me kind of Succession as well, because I remember the Succession theme song a little bit. Because I
Yeah.
remember you were talking about earlier, you were talking about how, to get money together for these projects, like 1 million isn't a lot of money. And I remember the old Connor Ryan's. Have you watched Succession?
Oh yes. Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah, when Connor said to his Logan, he goes, "Can you give me a little milli, a few milli?" It's kind of like that.
Well, I mean, that show talking about budgets. I mean, Jesus, they're going around New York in helicopters, multiple helicopters, on multiple picture helicopters, which means there's camera helicopters that are following those picture helicopters with cameras in them, filming these guys.
Amazing. It's the best
You
show
know,
of the. Oh, I miss it.
it's a great show, and it's very much the Murdoch family, Rupert
I
Murdoch.
think it
Yeah,
is
the
based
people
on
known
them, isn't
from
it? Like at least
very
the traditional
very much.
media slant.
Yes, yeah, and they have and it's Will Ferrell was one of the creators,
I
and which
could
is
not
amazing, and
believe
you can
that.
see. Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of those comedians, they have dark humor, man. If you look at what's it called, Ozark's another example of just like really dark, but it's Jason Bateman is, he's
Nice.
Arrested Development, like he's
Oh, I'll never
he's a
forget
funny
Arrested
guy.
Development.
Oh
There's
yeah,
plenty of money
that's
in
an amazing
development.
show.
Right.
I mean, that show is just. I mean, they would seed a joke, and then they would have the punchline for that joke 3 episodes later. Like it was just like the way they wrote that show was just mind boggling. I love that show as a writer. It's a
Caged,
very well written
caged
show.
wisdom, caged wisdom. This is
Yes.
it's the funniest every time I see it when they play it, and he's like he's George Senior. Oh, I love it. I love Job. I love
Yeah.
Will Arnett. But
Oh,
he made a
Job's the
good
best.
point about how this is the
Job.
final countdown.
I used to do that with my kids in the tub. We would do the final countdown. So I'd be outside the tub, and they'd be in, and my daughter would be inside, and I would like go da-na-na-na, and then like I would put something over the bath toy. I'd put like a towel over the bath toy, and then I'd knock the bath toy on my side of the tub where she wouldn't see it, and it would look like it disappeared. And she's like 2 or 1, so she doesn't so blowing her mind with this crappy magic trick. But I would always be like Job doing the final countdown song.
The segue. Remember the segue where he'd appear? Another favorite part of Arrested Development is when he when Michael is dating the girl. I believe she was from Portugal, and Job is convinced that
Yes.
Michael was having an affair with her, and he was like, Michael, I know you're going to Portugal, Michael. It was like that. And Michael was like, get away from me. What are you talking about? That actually wasn't a bad Will Arnett impression I did there. That actually wasn't too bad.
Yeah, that was a pretty good Will Arnett.
Not bad, yeah. But, very good. Very insightful as always, talking to Matt here about AI and the dangerous effects of AI, and also talking about the dangerous effects of California. But let's get into the big story. And the reason
Oh
why I
yeah.
really want to
Before I
talk
take
about
you
this
away.
is because we're talking about we're talking about the human side of people behind the business. And I think this is a really, really lovely story about Matt, the kind of person he is. Not a very good story for me. It was a rough day in the office. One of the many horrendous things that happened to me in LA. But basically, I outreach was a very big thing for me in LA. I don't know why, because it didn't lead to a single thing, except less years and grey hair, less years of my life and grey hairs on my head. But I did a lot of
One
net
podcast guest. One podcast
one
guest.
podcast on one podcast. But I yeah, I do a lot of kind. I remember we had that LinkedIn Premium where you'd get the free trial and then you'd cancel it and make a new profile or something. It was just to get the free trial, because you needed the free trial for the level of networking I was trying to do, just to meet more people. And I
Yeah, the
remember
InMail.
Matt was one of the only people who replied to me, and obviously I was very impressed with Matt's resume. And I sound like I was very impressed with Matt's resume, as if I was a recruiter or something.
It's funny that you say that, because I remember going to my wife when I was like, I'm gonna meet up with this kid and he wants advice, and I think at the time I was like unemployed, like I was like in between jobs, and I was just like, I don't know
All
what
of
to
us
tell
are in terrible positions. It was crazy. And I'd love to hear what your wife thought after, when you told her everything that happened. But
Yeah, I was like, you'll never believe what happened. Anyway,
so we arranged to meet at a cafe in Hollywood. Um, Me and my housemate at the time had, I believe, burritos or something a day or two before.
you said
Um,
mince. You made mince
Mince,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll understand why I'm saying this, people listening. So I'm walking to meet Matt, and I am like, the vision's starting to go. Like, it's starting to get very, very blurry. And it's like the like Phil Hartman joke he said on Letterman, Phil Hartman from SNL, where he said something about the closest thing to an acid trip I've ever had. I've never done acid, but what was going on made me think of the symptoms of people who did do it, where it was like everything was going, and it was like spinning at a rapidly fast pace. But you were already en route, and I was already en route. So I wasn't going to cancel the meeting, but I knew I was in trouble. So I'm walking, I'm walking, and it's like it's getting worse. And I walk in, and I remember texting you saying, "I'm here. I'll meet you when you're here." And I remember going into the toilet, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I am literally like," I was looking in the mirror, and I was like, "Snap out of it, snap out of it." And I was like, I broke out in this big cold sweat, and I was like, I'm literally dying. I literally thought I was dying that day. The 3.5 months of poverty had caught up with me. I was like, oh my god, what on earth is going on? Still to this day, never had sickness like that. So I remember I came back out, you hadn't arrived yet. So I was like, great. So I just went back in, and I kept throwing cold water over my face, and I kept telling myself, keep going, don't, just 1 hour. Because I remember
Just
you were
sober
busy
up.
that day. We needed 1 hour. And let me say as well that you actually got me. It was something, a friend of yours was doing a show, a YouTube. I think it was YouTube Shorts. Or no, it wasn't YouTube Short. There was a thing called YouTube Studio or YouTube Original. It was like, and you actually, one of your contacts actually got in touch with me and asked me would I be interested in doing like a researcher or runner type thing for it, but I couldn't do it because of the visa, because it was only 2 days.
Oh
But
man, yeah, that
but
would have been.
you actually did, actually something positive did come out of it outside of our friendship from a work perspective.
Yeah, I could have
Uh,
gotten. Yeah, that would have been a PA job. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's
yeah,
too
I
bad.
remember telling you, So it's funny how these things go. But you walked in, and I remember seeing you, and I was like, we already cursed in this podcast, so the gloves are off. I said, holy fucking god, I'm seeing three of them. I'm like, this is like, am I meeting one person or am I meeting three? I was like, what on earth? I
You,
was completely
I will say, you
tripped.
held it together pretty well when I first met you because I was just like, okay, I'll get us a coffee, or like, because I was in line to get you a coffee and myself a coffee, and I didn't think anything was wrong. Like I was just, okay,
He's a
he's
sweaty
sitting
guy.
here.
He's just a
Yeah,
sweaty
yeah.
guy.
I'm a sweaty guy myself. I probably just crawled out of a car that had no AC. So it's LA. It's hot. So you held it together. I will say that you held it together until you didn't.
Bear in mind, I'm 21.
Yeah.
So I'm a kid. Like, you even said the word kid. Like, I know people say when you're 18 you're an adult. I think that is complete crap. When I didn't cop on until I was 23.
Yeah.
So I was like, I remember, because the line is what happened. I got up to go to the toilet again, and I got sick, and I mean aggressively sick. It was like lining in my stomach. It was just never ending, and a lot of my friends will laugh when they hear this because they know me. I roar when I get sick, when I vomit. So don't ask me why I do it. But anytime I'm hungover and I get sick, I'm like, ah, when I get sick. I don't know why I do it. It's so weird.
You got to get it
Um,
out. You got to get it
it's
out.
so weird. It's so weird. So I'm literally roaring into a toilet bowl in a cafe in Hollywood. And I thought when I got it all out, there was a minute there where I felt better. So I'm like, just don't sit too close to him where he can smell your breath or anything. Just stay a distance, clean yourself off. I was going to keep sweating. I couldn't get out, I couldn't get around the sweating because I was getting the what flushes, I guess you'd call it, where you're hot and you're cold.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I walked back out, and I saw you standing there, and I completely passed out, completely fainted on the floor. It was the scariest. I've never been unconscious before. Still to this day, I've never
Yeah,
been
you
unconscious.
went out for a
I
bit.
was lights out for five
And
seconds, I believe.
and in my head I'm like, okay, it's 11 a.m. I don't think this kid's on drugs. I was
Well, you
like,
thought I was on drugs. Don't lie. You were
no, no,
definitely thinking he's on something.
I was like, was this kid just like, because you were there before me, so I was like, was this kid here for like a long time, just ripping coffees, and then he got like a panic attack, like just having too many coffees, or like I didn't know what was going on. But yeah, it was like, and then this lady, everybody was very nice. I will say that it wasn't very busy. That was one good thing. And it was Hollywood Boulevard. I mean, they're used to some stories, just maybe not that early in the day.
They got one that day. My opening, like, I remember my eyes started to open. I guess, like, if you're watching a movie and they're showing something from a newborn baby's eyes and his eyes are fluttering,
Everybody's looking down at you.
either that or it's following the light at the end of the tunnel. I just remember seeing you standing over me looking at me, and then a woman standing over looking at me, and she picked me up. Both of you did, but she picked me up, put me on a chair, and then I remember you guys are feeding me orange juice. Or no,
Yeah,
it was apple juice,
apple
sorry,
juice.
apple juice. And I remember just, it was like the realization of what had just happened dawned on me. I'm like, oh my god, this is just horrendous. And I remember we walked out the front, and you were saying we need to get an ambulance. We need to get an ambulance. And I, knowing I had no money, said no, you can't get an ambulance because I
I know.
can't
Yeah,
afford
and
it.
then the more you talked about it, it's like, oh shit. Yeah, there's no. He doesn't have insurance. There's no like.
Nothing.
You need insurance in the United States. Like it's actually a problem. And I was like, I hope this kid doesn't go bankrupt because of this trip to the Minute Clinic or whatever
Oh,
the
we went to the urgent care medical center. I
urgent care.
remember
Yeah.
saying, "Take me to urgent care," because we walked back out the front, and I passed out again on the Walk of Fame. So I remember just seeing a star. It wasn't as bad, but I fell again. I remember the taxi came. We went to the urgent medical care center, which for people in Ireland, say you're in your Kildare, you're in Kildare. It's the K-Lock. So it's just
Okay.
like it's kind of like a hospital, but it's not really a hospital. Well, I guess it is kind of like a hospital. It's an urgent hospital, but it's not as expensive as an actual
Yeah,
hospital.
it's not as expensive. They can't really do anything. Like I went in there for my tinnitus one time, and the guy and I was like, my ear. It sounds like I just got out of a rock concert, but I just woke up. Like, what's going? And the guy's like, "What do you want me to do?" I was like, "I don't know. You're the doctor. Like,
Me.
what do you want me to do? I want you to tell me why it sounds like I just left a Black Keys concert in only one ear. Like, come on, help me out." But anyway,
No, it's so true because we went in, and this is the thing about Matt. Anyone else in LA would have left. There is not. I hear all people say, "Oh, you have to see the good in people." I did not see many good people in LA.
it,
You
it,
probably put them on two hands.
it's pretty cutthroat. It's pretty cutthroat.
It's
But
hard, at least in the circles I was in certain
yeah,
content creation
but
and stuff.
Barbara Pagourgis didn't raise no jerk. I at least have to see you to a doctor.
Oh, you were amazing. Like, I have to say, you were amazing. And I remember lying on the bed, and you were at the chair just looking at me, and you were like, "What?" Because they put me on was it like a drip? I think you'd call it, where
Yeah,
they
an
put
IV
you on
drip. Yeah, they put you on
continuous
an IV drip.
respiratory,
Yeah.
because I was completely dehydrated. And I remember, I don't know if you remember this part, but I contacted my parents to get them to send me money, and I
Oh yeah.
pretended it was for something entirely different. I was lying. So I'm in a bed, like a hospital type setting, with a drip on me, and a business networking connection just there, in this total state of shock of what's going on. And I'm getting this done, and I started pitching ideas to you about shows. So I'm still trying to get this thing over the line, and you're just there like, just relax. It's all good. Just relax. Like, it's not. The jig is up. It's not. There's not. This isn't happening. But I remember you said to me that you were impressed with the fact that I was still going and still trying
Yeah,
to make
still
something
hustling.
happen. Hooked on a drip, having just literally lost half my body weight. But I remember always just saying, "Wow, if you could meet one person and one friend out of the whole experience, it was you." So that's why I just wanted to talk about the person behind the business. Anyone else wouldn't have done that, and you checked in with me and everything else.
Yeah.
And damn, I even remember my roommate who was trying to, help me, like, push me on to get a job, because it was really difficult with my visa. I had
Yeah.
a job interview the next morning as a video editor, for a dentist. And I remember saying to him, "I can't go to this. There's no way I can go to this." And he was like, "You have to." And I understand where he was coming from, but he didn't realize how sick I was. 24 hours later, he got the same thing.
Oh yes. Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Right.
You. That's why you thought it was food poisoning.
It was some sort of virus. Like, I remember his doctor said it's similar to food poisoning. The virus is similar to food poisoning. And then a friend of his got it too. So it just literally spread through all of us. So
So
I'm
just
glad you didn't get it.
one of you was just a bad cook, is what
It was
happened.
probably me. Well, we didn't have much to work with. Like, before I was talking to Matt, we were on the podcast, I was telling him about the poverty of LA. We used to have what's called Texas toast, which is just a thick sliced pan, and
Yes.
we used to get it. Oh, I think it was the dollar store, Dollar Tree, but we'd get it, and it was less than $1, so we'd have it for breakfast. It'd just
It's
be
thick too. It's got a lot of calories. It'll
it,
fill you up.
Oh yeah, but we'd have bread and butter. Then later on in the day, we'd put some garlic in the butter, so it felt like we were eating something different. So it was garlic bread. So we were doing that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I remember chicken teriyaki without the chicken. So we didn't have chicken, so we'd have the rice with the sauce, and then we'd break up tortilla chips to give it a bit of crunch. I remember
Keep
a
it
story.
interesting.
Sorry.
Keep it interesting with the tortillas.
Oh, mixing it up, man. I remember a
Yeah.
story a friend of mine actually reminded me of that I actually had forgot about because I did a YouTube video about this years ago. But I we went and got coffee, and we got this massive cylinder, but we thought it was instant coffee. It turns out it wasn't. It was the coffee that has to be percolated or whatever the
Oh,
terminology
yeah.
is. So we didn't have that. We couldn't afford any type of machine like that. So what we did is that we'd make the coffee in a saucepan. So we'd heat it up, and then they had a pasta like strainer where you can put the pasta through
Yeah.
the strainer and take off all the water and everything else in it. So we'd put the coffee through that, and we'd keep doing
I,
that over and over.
it's so it was the origin of what they call it, a slow pour. I think that's actually, I've been to Portland, Oregon, and they have some very expensive coffees. They have the slow pour. You basically did that.
We
Just
invented that. Oh, we were very slow during that period, put it that way. Um, Mentally, every physically, obviously, what happened to me, it was horrendous. And I mean, the coffee was obviously so strong, so the panic attacks we were having, from the amount of caffeine in our systems. Like I obviously used to say, we were intermittent fasting before intermittent fasting was cool because we didn't have money to eat.
yes, yeah, yeah.
So
The poor man's diet. Yeah.
honest to God, I remember Denny's. The food I remember, Denny's, the all you can eat pancakes.
Yep.
We would sit there for at least an hour, just getting more and more pancakes to fill ourselves up. And then the end, we'd have the coffee, the refills of coffee. They were definitely sick of us. And then the end of the day, we would go to 7-Eleven, and we'd get these small coconut donuts,
Oh,
and
nice.
that was
Okay.
our diet. That was we like you should have saw our bodies. At least me, like I was built like there was no structure to my body. I was like a fire hydrant. I was built like a
And
fire hydrant. I think
no nutrients either. It's funny because like LA gets like this rap that it does have like vegan culture and people that are very into healthy eating. But you said earlier that LA made you a chain smoker, and
oh god, yeah. Oh god,
and um, you were eating 7-Eleven coconut donuts, and pancakes.
terrible. That
It's
was
the
in the rich
opposite.
days.
Yeah.
That was when times were good. That was before the Texas toast, and that was actually times were good. Like I remember the nicest thing, and when I say this to people, they're like, "What the hell?" And you're gonna have the same reaction. The Meat Feast pizza out of 7-Eleven was like I remember that was like the $7 one was like it was heaven.
That was that was your feast. That was
It
did you
was
ever have In and
heaven.
Out? Did you have
Sorry,
In and
In
Out
and
over
Out.
there?
This is going to be controversial. I was not crazy about In and Out. I remember having the
Really?
annual fries and yeah, it it didn't do much for me. I remember Roscoe Chicken and Waffles,
Yes.
going there and thinking, first of all, before I went in, thinking this is the strangest combination of food. Who on earth would eat chicken and waffles? And I remember going in, and it was actually lovely. I loved it.
Oh yeah, no, I like Roscoe's is good.
Yeah.
I like In and Out. I think my go to, because they have the hidden menu, right? You have the menu,
All
and then
right.
you have stuff that's not up there. So if you animal style is on the hidden menu, it's well known. But so I would get a double animal style with cooked and raw onions, and that was something that my uncle, the one who got me work, he told me about. That was his go-to order, and I always do it. You get a little crunch from the onion, but then you also have the caramelized onions too. But that was my go-to at In and Out. You got to get
No.
an animal style.
When I was sick that time, because after, like, you remember checking in with me, I was sick for a good few days. We
Yes,
were
yeah,
just
yeah,
the entire and my roommate was working at the time, and he said, "Look, we're both through this dose. It's been an horrendous few days. I'm getting us food." And he got Chick-fil-A,
Okay.
which I had never had before. It was the nicest thing. Me and my friends were in Prague 2 weeks ago, and I believe I got it there. And I was like, oh my god, this is just delicious. And another place, I don't know if you know it, Lucifer's Pizza.
Yes, you had brought that up. You said that was some of the best pizza you'd had
The
in LA.
best pizza I ever had, but it was so expensive. So when me and my friend got it, we were like, "Please enjoy this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This isn't happening again."
I,
And the boss,
I would say Chick-fil-A is phenomenal. I am a fan of Chick-fil-A.
it's very good. Even Denny's. Like I remember, like I had a real love hate relationship with pancakes when I got home, because I was like, I physically can't stomach another pancake. And now I'm like, damn. When one day when I make my triumphant return to LA, if that ever happens,
Yeah,
um,
come in New Jersey. We've got diners.
I don't think I told you. I actually tried to go on a B2 visa last year. So a B2 visa, for those who don't know, allows you to go to up to 6 months of the year, I think every year for the next 10 years.
Okay.
So it's an amazing visa. So I was going to go over on that because I don't want to live in America permanently. I'm quite happy just going and visiting and coming back. You know, all
Yeah,
my
yeah,
business
yeah,
is here and this is my base. But I would have loved to have gone for a few months and kind of seen a few things and actually had um, a proper experience there that wasn't just, because I support myself now. I'm blessed to say that things have went well for me as a sole trader, and my friend as well does extremely well too. So I'm delighted for him. We both came
yeah,
through those difficult times, but yeah. So the main thing is with this visa, Matt, is that you have to have strong binding ties to your home country.
okay,
So I'm there saying, what is a stronger tie than a business? Like my
yeah,
business is tax registered here, like fully above board. I was only nominated as a oh god, I should know this, for an award last week, best emerging business and like best sole entrepreneur in my local chamber. So I'm very well
yeah. I
established.
saw that on LinkedIn in Kildare. I want to say
There,
was it?
that's where I'm from.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm
yeah,
blessed to work with so many businesses here, and they've built up a great reputation. So I thought in my head, I this visa, I have everything here. Like I don't have to worry about this. So I had to go into the embassy, and do the whole embassy thing. So I went in, and he was just kind of like, so why do you want to go over here? I'm like, oh, I just want to go over and see a bit of America and stuff, and my business is here, so I'm not looking to do any business and stuff. And he couldn't get over the fact that I didn't have a premises here because I was a remote business, so he was worried that I was going to come over and not come back, from what I can gather. So he said, look, you just need
yeah.
to come back and show. He refused it. To cut long story short, he refused it. So I'd have to go back and do it again. It's nearly 2 years now since that happened. So I
Okay.
can't go for a visitor visa because I'm just going to be filtered out automatically when I say I don't know if I should tick the box that I've been refused entry to America, because I don't know if I've technically been refused entry to America. There's such a grey area there. I obviously need to go see a solicitor or a lawyer, as you would call it, just for someone to explain this to me. Uh,
Yeah.
but that was that. So I just went around Europe instead. So I went to
Okay.
Spain. I was also in Portugal. I was in Portugal for a wedding, but I also worked over there during the time I was there. I was in London on a business trip, and I was in Amsterdam early this year. There was no business done in Prague. Prague was just alcohol for 3 days straight. So there was nothing of any substance. There was absolutely nothing done. I'd recommend. Prague was amazing. You should definitely check out Prague.
Yeah, I'd
Shout
love to
out
go there. Yeah.
Prague. But yeah, it's funny the journey from last time seeing you and how things have changed for both of us. So I just want to say that just mad. It was I got in touch with you a few days ago. We still keep in touch, but I was seeing everything you're doing with American Pulps, and I remember I was sharing something you did, or I commented on it, and you were like, this is me, right? You commented on it. I was like, yes, I know. But it's great to see someone like yourself achieve what you've achieved. The question I want to know now is, and this is, I know this is going to be funny. What did your wife say when you went home and told her what happened?
I forget. Like, I think she probably was like, was he on drugs? Like, I think that was like the because like, it was so much. So I worked. I used to work when I was in college. I was a security guard at at live music venues, basically. And I did, and then I became an alcohol compliance officer, which is alcohol and compliance. It's an oxymoron, but I was an alcohol compliance officer for a live music, like huge concerts, and we did. It was it was Kid Rock and the Allman Brothers or something,
Oh,
and it
that's a
was just
weird
like
mix.
a very weird mix. A lot of people were like, there was one guy that was like, he was like Frankenstein. He was like, and people like, they were calling us over like, this guy needs help. This guy needs help. And I had to walk him over to the EMT, like the tent where they help you out. And the guy was like, have you, did you have any drugs today? And he was like, ugh, and he pulled out like this, this like pill box, yeah, like a bunch of pills, and the guy was like, "That's not good. Okay, come follow me." And I remember like having flashbacks to that
You know
with
Jason Flood.
you, yeah. So, so when we were in this coffee shop, I was like, "Oh man, this is just like working in Hartford." As Comcast Center as an alcohol compliance officer, and I had to like escort you out on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Oh man, yeah, but yeah, it was. But yeah, my wife, yeah, I think her first, she was just like, oh my god, and like, I just kept, and I think she was more concerned, like, is he okay? Is like, is he gonna die? Like, is the way I'm like, telling
He
the
was
story.
laying on the floor because we didn't even have. We had mattresses, but we didn't have beds. And before that, we had this little cushiony
I,
blanket-like bed inside.
I mean, I would have like I didn't. You could have shared my cat bed. I didn't know you were in such a bad way. I would have would
Oh,
have
it was
let you come in.
terrible. Well, nobody knew. Like I could have.
Yeah, no,
I could have went home, and my dad always
yeah.
laughed about it because I was on. It was some sort of bank account where he could see how much money I had, and I was telling so many lies at the time because I was trying to push this on, and I was like, if I can just, I really believed if I get one job, I could push it
Yeah,
on, but it didn't work out
yeah.
that way. And he was like, you used to telling me you had like loads of money, you're doing okay, and then I'd look in your bank account, there'd be like zero, $0, and I was like, but you have to learn.
Yeah.
Someone
It's
always says to me that you really put yourself through it, and I guess I did. But when you're chasing a dream, sometimes it doesn't translate into a dream. It's more like a nightmare, and I guess
I
that was what mine was.
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just like I was talking about the Pet Collective earlier and how like it was a lot of like young and hungry people and we all worked like I AD'd that YouTube show, so I would work a full week and then I would on Saturday Sunday we'd film this web series at Meltdown Comics for this guy. So I like the month of July, I like didn't have a day off. Like I like I worked straight through like for like 2 months basically, and but that's like kind of the culture. That's kind of and you were definitely like we're kindred spirits in that regard,
100%.
and I forgot about that PA job that was offered to you, and it's a shame because like that like the fact that the visa was an hindrance to you like that PA job could have been that I started with a PA job, right, and then I moved up and up and up, so like the fact that you needed you couldn't take like a day rate,
Anything.
you know that was like that you were one step behind always, like you always like you had basically the same start as I did, but I didn't have a visa that was holding me back,
Completely.
and I mean actually you had my wife had a Canadian, she was a Canadian, but she had a green card, she didn't have a visa, so she was good with the green card, so she could do kind of some day playing
Less
and stuff like that.
restrictive. But like even
Yes.
I'll even tell you a funny story, and this is a story nobody knows, and then we'll wrap up as I know you're very busy. This is a story nobody knows. So 2 years ago, it was always in the back of my head with the business. Like, I knew I could run the business myself, and my business, I can kind of, like, it's a per contract thing. Obviously, I have a lot of recurring clients now, but I mean, in terms of like massive projects, you know, it's a per project basis, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like, say if I decided, right, I want to take this big job in America, I could do it and still run my business. I have the ability to do that.
Yes.
So sometimes with business owners, the business controls them, where they don't control the business. Because I'm a sole trader, freelancer, I'm in full control, which I love.
Yeah.
So I had, after I finished my master's degree, I was going to go back on the same visa, right? But I was going to make sure I had a job before I went over. So I wasn't
Yeah.
going over to try get a job. I had a job before I went over. So what I started doing is I started using LinkedIn. I had an Excel sheet, and I started focusing on people, Irish people over there in universities that I would have went to, or even like, yeah, I was in DCU and I was in Dublin Business School, so I would even contact people from Trinity. I wasn't even in Trinity, but I'd be like, "Oh, I see you're in marketing, and I went to DCU, which is close to Trinity. I'm just wondering, you know, can you give me any
Yeah.
tips?" And that would create like conversations, and it materialized. There was nothing in paper, but it was a 3 month offer to go to San
Oh, okay.
Francisco.
Oh,
And
cool.
I said no. The reason why I declined it was because, first of all, like, things had changed with my business where it became like a lot in person.
Hmm.
The projects that you take, and sometimes your business, one day things can be slow, then the next day, bang. Like,
Yeah.
this year has been the biggest year I've ever had, thank God.
Yeah. It's great.
So it was meant to be a 12 month. When we talked about it, he was like saying it to his CEO. It was meant to be a 12 month thing, and then it changed to a 3 month thing. And I was explaining to him, I only want to go here for a year, so I'm not going to get a lease in San Francisco. And as you know, San Francisco is much worse than California.
Not cheap.
No, it's much worse. It's much
Yeah.
worse. So I did the wise thing, and that's how I knew I copped on and I'd grown up, that I said no.
Yeah.
Now, there was nothing in paper, don't get me wrong. Like, I was just talking to him, taking him at face value. He seemed like a very nice guy, and he went to the CEO and stuff, but she only went for 3 months, so I wasn't. You can't take that risk. And this is to anybody who's going on a visa like that, grad visa, for a year. Unless it's a year and it fulfills all the obligations, don't even take the risk. It's not worth it,
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Because
my opinion.
you could be stuck.
But yeah, I was meant to go back. But I remember talking to the person when the company ring you and they talk to you and they go over everything with you. I was telling them I want to go back to LA because LA was the one that got away. So when I say this to some people, they're like, "Yeah, but you did it. You went over for 4 months. You tried it. It didn't work. So you should feel you did it. Like, what's the thing?" I'm like, in my head, everything I've nearly went after, I've been lucky to achieve. So that's why I wanted to. I wanted to do it. I wanted to try
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's your white whale.
Exactly,
It's
and everyone has
yeah.
that. But he said LA is a terrible place to do it. And here's a tip for anyone. Sorry, a work call came in. That's why there's a vibration sound.
No,
But
no, you're
this is
fine.
why it's a terrible idea to do it. He goes, if you go to San Francisco, they have the San Francisco Irish Bay Network. So they have an actual network for Irish people.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that.
it's easier to make connections. So that's the secret to these visas. It's not the job applications. It's not that. It's meeting other people from your countries in that area, and for them to then help you get in front of the right people, because 9 times out of 10 they're probably on that same visa, which means that the employer has no problem hiring you for that visa.
Yeah,
So
I could imagine Boston and New York, also and Chicago, being good hubs for like an. I don't know if they have Irish groups like that in
I
those
think
cities.
Chicago, I think Boston, um yeah, 100%. But LA, because I remember telling them I tried to do it years ago, And he said, I knew your name rang a bell. I dealt with you years ago. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is just a bad omen straight off the gate. I was like, this is a terrible idea. And I remember it was around the time that the Frasier reboot came out, because I always liked Frasier, so I wanted to see the
Yes.
reboot. And I remember I was having pizza and I was sitting down and I was just like, this thing, it just fell apart. And I remember the next day, at the time, I got the biggest job in my business up to that point. And I remember just saying, that was someone saying, don't do this. Now,
Yeah.
at the time, there was a higher power there saying, don't do this, Jason. And it would have been, I'm glad
Yes.
that it didn't happen. I was smart enough, but it just shows. So you're after getting tips in this podcast about business, about kindness. You see what Matt did, about American Pulps, about my business, and about AI, and visas. You're after learning about
We
visas.
covered a lot of topics. We covered a lot of ground today.
Well, this podcast now, we've been going on nearly 2 hours, and it's only usually a half an hour. And this is the thing that I wanted to achieve with the podcast. I wanted a real conversation.
Yeah.
And now you're starting to see, as the episodes progress, real conversations. So Matt, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on. I'll be having you on again soon anyway, when as you said, everything you talked about American Pulps, about the
I'd be happy to come on when we're ready to push Misfigured or whatever we're selling.
100%. Yeah, I'm laughing now because Matt was telling me I should be doing video interviews just to push this on, and the lights are flickering. I don't know if you noticed that on the camera.
Yeah,
the quality of your camera is so much better than mine as well. Like, I look like I'm on a VHS tape.
You do look like you have a filter. It looks
very
like
grainy. It's not intentional. It's not intentional. Down the line, I definitely want to be doing video and stuff like that, but it's just, I just want an actual studio, and I'm still figuring that end of it out. But I'm just laughing looking at the quality of you as compared to the quality of me, because it looks like the Twilight Zone here where I am.
Great show.
It was a good show. Matt, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on. And as I said, guys, all the links to American Pulp, American Pulps, I don't know where I got that out of. American Pulps is in the description below. Matt, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on, and I look forward to the next time.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Jason Flood Digital Marketing Show. A huge thank you to Matt Pagourgis for joining me and sharing his story and insights. If you want to check out some of Matt's work, you'll find all the links in the description below. Make sure to follow the show, share the episode, and stay tuned for more great conversations. I'm Jason Flood, and I'll see you on the next one.